Hello, welcome to my smorgasbord of good things that I found in the last sort of 10 to 12 months. I wanted to share them with you. Now, it's a joyful mix of books, films, art, humour, letters, lettering, graphics, podcasts, good things I've found in television, film, and all the different arts, and I want to pass on to you. So I've made them into this clip. And initially it ran for a really long time, so I think there's going to have to be several parts to this. A lot of little good things, a lot of little treats from the year past. Some of them you will have seen in my videos, most of them you will not, because I have lots of pieces of video that didn't make it through the editing system, or lots of references to my Instagram. So here are some good things from my year, and I hope you'll enjoy. Always, of course, trying to sort out which books to keep, which to return. One of them, I actually managed to dehaul half my hike in books, simply because as more books come in, as you make more videos, some have to be let go. A delight for me through this year and in the past few years is a podcast called Field Recordings, and that brings to you the sound of being in various places in the world, natural sounds, man-made ones. You hear various birds and weather conditions like storms or rain or snow, but also you get to hear what it's like to be standing in, say, Russia or Peru or London or New York at various times. I recommend it highly. This license plate caught my eye. It's apparently these people that will inherit the earth. I joined the book club run by Steve Donoghue, and we began by reading A Distant Mirror about the 14th century, so lots of new old things for me. The Loud Poets based in Edinburgh do workshops around Scotland, encouraging people to stand up, take a microphone and read their poetry, and I took part, and at the very end I opted to stand up and perform in front of the microphone, and I hope it won't be my last time. I came across a great commentary or documentary on the novelist, and it was done by contemporary artist Gillian Wearing. I haven't until now been a George Eliot fan, and I was enthralled, so do keep an eye out for it. Recorded by Arena, which is an arts programme on the BBC, but I'm sure it'll come near you. It's got current local residents reading her words or saying how they identify with her writing and life, and there's many visits to houses where she'd lived. Really well researched, but also imaginative ways to tell the life story. I enjoyed watching a documentary film about documentary films, Cinema Verité, Defying the Moment, made in 1999. Cinema Verité is about a style of film or cinema which was also called direct cinema, where you recorded the documentary film and you didn't do a voiceover. Obviously, of course, it's still edited, but it gives you a great chance to think your own thoughts as you're viewing it. As usual, I went to libraries and then had to try and refine all the books I wanted to take home and physically couldn't. I had to pick between them. I love coming across Eileen Miles. There was a great interview with her, Poetry as Performance. One of her quotes she said was, "I feel like I'm grappling with something being radioed into me a bit." And she was talking about the process of writing poetry. And I felt like she was my YouTube creative wake-up call and a treat on the day that I saw her video. And I totally recommend it. I think the way she speaks is rich because she's a poet, and that she could write her shopping list and it would become a thrilling comment on 21st century life, and it would still be personal. I enjoyed reading Flaneuse by Lauren Elkin. It's not brand new this year, and it's been received a lot of credit and approval and so forth in the past already. Subtitle is Women Walk the City in Paris, New York, Tokyo, Venice and London. And we've probably been more familiar with Flaneur, which is the male version, but this was her looking at the female version Often she puts it in historical context, which is great, but she also talks a lot about herself in the book, which I thought was a slightly weakened it, but the book's still worth reading. Throughout the year I went to exhibitions with my friend Anne. We're both very free and frank in our discussion of things, and so I felt that the commentary was really worth hearing. It wasn't too arty-farty. So we went to see a textile exhibition with Chanel knitwear, from Chanel to Westwood. We also went to see Modern One together. So you would find that hard to live with then?
I want to straighten the lines because the shapes are triangles and squares essentially. You see more and more faces appear in that the more you look at it.
Mm-hmm. Good art rewards time spent with it. Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't surprise me if I walked in and saw that on the wall.
Well, not that one. I'm not going to steal it. I'm just saying, but yes, I would love that.
If I walked into your house and something like that.
I would love that, yeah. And we also then later in the year went to see the Keith Fassett exhibition on colour, which was massively popular because of Keith. And all of a sudden I went from having 100 views to having 1,000, and it crept up to 2,000, and then later in the year it was 3,000. So that's the kind of size of Keith's following. I love seeing art that made me smile, and I saw one example at the Ingleby Gallery in Edinburgh, which is a neon artwork by Peter Liversidge, and it just seems to talk the way it's timed. Steve Donoghue Book Club continued, and I got stuck in the 16th century with Master Thomas Cromwell and Henry VIII, reading Wolf Hall. It was worth it. Throughout the year I've continued to play with my selection of postcards of 20th century writers, modern writers by Penguin. Modern classics. That's what they actually call it, what it says in the tin, so to speak. And here are the people that are featured, the different artists. And I thought I was fairly well read until I came across their name list, and I went, yes, no, yes, no. And when you open it up inside, I found the faces tempted me to make a story, to add a line. So, for example, here we go, here's one. That is Ken Kesey, but I put in a little words added in saying that if Tolstoy had my editor, War and Peace would be a pamphlet. Hashtag accidentally glued hand to chin. This is my improved version of the postcard of writer Francois Sagan, waiting for Tipex to be invented, which she's leaning soulfully on her typewriter. Through the year I continued to fly the flag for the joys of writing letters and receiving, which I don't believe is fully gone. There's a moment of, oh, my friend has written to me. There's a little stamp, which is each month the Royal Mail will give you a different stamp. And it's like putting a little picture on what you're sending out. And look inside this envelope. Look at that. You start to open it and you know it's going to unfold into a journey through my friend's days and life and what she's thinking and doing. I fully believe that all you need is to grab a postcard, stick a stamp on it, address it to a friend and write a few interesting words and post it. I've had several visits to Leakey's bookshop, delightful to say, in Inverness during the year. Just book heaven, from its spiral staircase, its 2 levels of books, the way they're carefully put out together, and there's also a beautiful fire right in the middle, a furnace, a log burning furnace with logs piled around it. I have no idea how they get this place insured, but it draws me back again and again. There are various books that got away, and then this year there were also rather a lot that found their way into my book bag and came home with me. On YouTube, I came across a brilliant, sparkling conversation and discussion about books between two smart book readers, not a dull moment. It was on the YouTube channel Econ Talk, and it was video titled Tyler Cowan on Reading 4/18/22. Well worth your time to look at. I managed to photograph a double rainbow. I found somebody very good and experienced in using Instagram who put in a piece of music and it was automatically cut off because of the size of the screen, which made it look completely differently. James Brown singing Papa's Got a Bra as a brand new bag, which amused me. I enjoy going back to W1A, the BBC, being brilliantly funny about itself, with a great line with Tracy saying,
"Right, because I'm not being funny or anything, but it's genocide in the press office and not in a good way."
One book I absolutely loved this year, Square Haunting, 5 Women, Freedom and London Between the Wars by Francesca Wade. And that's not a new book by any means at all, but it's a group biography of 5 writers who lived at the same square in Bloomsbury in London, often at different times. Probably most famously Virginia Woolf and Dorothy L. Sayers. My cooking features in my various videos and clips, and one of them is this of the egg. That moment when you realise that the rich smoky smell of barbecue from next door is actually the remains of an egg put on to hard boil before I sat down to write. Most of these recommendations are evergreen. They're on the internet, they're available, they're around and about, and some of them are maybe art exhibitions that are past, but then you get to see them and not miss them. And quite often I find that the galleries that host exhibitions will keep some trace of them on their websites, so you can go back and find out more. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments. Is it a joyful mix or is it just a mess? Bye for now.